Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Hi-Fi Rush Rhythm Master video walkthrough. We're at the beginning of track 10, a Masterplan, and one of the best missions in the game here, guys, and absolutely, it's just a masterpiece, isn't it? We can call the Masterplan a masterpiece. It combines a bunch of features into a really nice cohesive mission. We get a new enemy type, we get technically 2 new enemy types, and then we get the coolest looking boss in the game. And it all starts here on this tower with the skyline at night and a huge battle against some standard robots. And the gimmick of this fight is that you're going to have to protect a cannon coming up. You don't have to worry too much, the game telegraphs it quite well, and as long as you get rid of the gunners, you shouldn't have too many issues. But just do your standard combos, work on the beat, get those hits up, use those assists, use those supers, and at this point we've got pretty much all the moves we're ever going to need to beat the game. And it's just a case of doing it now when we're getting close. This level is a little bit long though, it does combine a few elements into one cohesive design. We're going to be going all over the place, and I'm going to speak out against the bits that I really like, and I'm going to speak out against the bits that could have been a little smoother. But we managed to get the S there, which is nice, on the first chorus, which is good to see. Now we're going to get some of the narrative as we start to hack the cannon. So there's a sequence here in this level that I think is a joke, that is an homage to Xenogears, which is this idea, I think, that you fire into a blimp and something cool happens. And I really wish you would have had a level where you were on that Zeppelin. I think the idea of doing an airship level in a game like this is just so perfect, and I love levels like that. I think this entire game is screaming out for some kind of level that is on rails in such a fashion, and the closest thing we got was on the lift, but sadly we were inside a tunnel on that lift, so we didn't really get to see anything too fascinating. And you know, Shinji Mikami worked on Vanquish, and Vanquish has some of these on-rail levels where the entire world is streaking past you while you're playing, and I think it's one of the best aspects of any railed sequence in a game. It's really interesting, it elevates the overall plateau of what's happening, and it just gives you something really stimulating. And this game at times can be incredibly stimulating and incredibly fun, so it would have just fit really well, as I thought I was going to parry them, but I didn't, and I got caught on the edge. So, mistakes were made, but we'll continue. But this fight is, I think it's 3 encounters. It might just be 2 prolonged encounters. Lots of opportunities to do your combos here, lots of opportunities to spend your money and get rewards. Getting a little sloppy, getting hit by a lot of things right now, trying to magnet in and getting anti-aired. It's nice to see the enemies being a little bit more aggressive as we take the one enemy into the sky, try to hit him with the assist and don't quite catch him, and then we have the crab in the main area, so I'm going to bring in Macaron and I'm going to do the main combo in the air. Watch out for that dropping slam he has and the spin just there. And here we go, as soon as we break him we'll get him into the launch and we'll start doing some real damage. It's interesting too, because I've been going back through the game now and going for the ranking system, and thanks to the people that left a comment on the previous video, we now know that there is a way to restart checkpoint which can save your life if you're going to be doing resets. And if you don't know, guys, I think I'm going to make an independent video to promote it because I want people to know. It's such a good tool for replay value. But if you go into the menu in the options and you go to streamer mode and you turn it on and off, it restarts checkpoint. And if it's on, if you turn it off, it does it. And if it's off and you turn it on, it does it. So it is essentially a restart checkpoint that's a little slower than I'd like. It's not as good as it being in the main menu immediately, so you could pause, press up, press A, and then restart, but that's just a pipe dream that I'm hoping that the developers are going to add. As it stands, this is the best way to restart when you take damage or when you fail your ranking, and it's the quickest way to get into the battle. So it is going to be so useful for grinding the game, and it's just going to make an already really fun game even more fun. But we have a new enemy here, guys. This is the flaming variant of the bird. He likes to put fire everywhere, and he has this interesting counter right there to the magnet. The previous bird did the same thing. This bird gives you an opportunity to put his flames out, which is really nice. This enemy actually reminds me of the Gorgons in God of War. If you never played the original God of Wars, especially in God of War 2, it became really, really useful thanks to being able to reflect their gaze back at them. But you could grab Gorgons and they would evade it and immediately do the petrification glance. So you could bait them to do that and then punish them for doing it, and it was always because you tried to grab them. And once you understood that grabbing them promoted that programming, you could set up all kinds of delicious damage in the later games. And this enemy is quite similar. If you magnet towards him and he counters you, as long as you do the parry evade, you will put his flames out and then you can go and beat him up. And it works really, really well. It must be said though, guys, there's a few enemies in this game. This one and then the green turtle later on in this level. I've barely fought them. I've fought them like 5 times and I haven't took them in training mode, so I just don't know them very well yet. That will change in time. But as you can see, if you fight them like the other birds, you'll pretty much do a decent job of getting through, and unless you're doing something like no damage or a challenge run, you won't have too many difficulties in that encounter. And then speaking of encounters, this is the best fight in the game. This right here has a wonderful combination of elements coming together in a decent room, a really interesting looking room, with a funny idea going on, a funny concept, and then there's going to be a revised version of the samurai type enemy, who is indeed a chef, and instead of bringing his swords, he has cooking utensils. It's as funny and as amazing as it sounds, and he's probably my favourite enemy in the game. But until we get to him, we have a couple of baboons and standard enemies here with swords to take out. I say baboons as if it's plural when indeed it is singular. And all you want to do, guys, same thing you've been doing the whole time. Break them, launch them, finish them off, make sure if there's any gunners you go over there and you sort them out, and then just bring everything you've learned thus far together into these combos, into these unifications, and build those beats, build those scores, build those ranks, and build that ability in the game. As I get whacked by a baboon, and I shouldn't have got whacked. But I did, because I got sloppy. And that's what happens, guys. If you're not good at this game, it shows in your gameplay. And there's been some interesting journalism for this game recently. And my community brought to my attention a rather terrible review, which I will not name because it doesn't deserve any kind of attention or credence. And it was just somebody that simply does not like the game and seems to want to do an attacking piece to get some easy clicks, and it makes no goddamn sense. And you expect it nowadays, don't you? It seems to be the cycle of what happens on YouTube. It seems like being increasingly negative and controversial is the path to easy and instant engagement, and it's unearned and it's ugly and it's the worst characteristic of video games, but it happens all the time. And the thing that bugs me the most is people think I'm like that. People think that I intentionally go to like kick the hornet's nest and be an arsehole and make people angry with my opinions, when it couldn't be furthest from the truth. I never try to say things, guys, just to purely get a response, just to get people engaging without any thought behind it, because I have no time for it. To me, it's just nihilism, and I don't have any lust for that at all about something I'm passionate about. I criticised the Dead Space remake recently because I wanted to defend a game I love, which is Dead Space 2008 or 2009, you know, the original. And I'm defending it because it's a masterpiece, and everyone's dragging its name through the mud. And I pissed some people off there, which is fine. But I didn't do it just so that I could get easy views and make $8 on YouTube, you know? That's not the motivation. I did it because I didn't want these bitches saying things that are objectively incorrect. And that's why I did it. If I was here to just get easy views and easy money, I wouldn't be making a walkthrough for this game on its hardest difficulty. I'd be covering the remake. But I'm not covering the remake because I don't like it, because I don't believe in the direction it took, and it's not for me. And instead of ruining your impression of the game and shitting on it and making people miserable, I'm just going to leave it to the people that like it. Because that's sometimes better than me putting my footprint on something that I just don't have the care to even engage with. You know? The remake is fine and people enjoy it, and that's great. But when it comes to Hi-Fi Rush, like making a review just to shit on this game because you didn't like it just seems so strange to me. You know? And then when you look into the arguments of why somebody doesn't like it, when their arguments are objectively incorrect and just projections of a lack of interest and personal issues with a genre, it just comes across... Here we go, I'm finally doing it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I told you I'd do that, didn't I? It took me a while, but we finally made it, guys. We finally stood in front of the samurai when he wants to wag his dick, and we put him down. I can't see where he is here. Wait for it. There it was. Shut that down. I've been thinking about this enemy recently as well. You'll have to answer this in the comments, guys. How do you deal with this monster? Do you play passive and counter-attack him on the parries? Do you have some kind of setup that I don't know about yet that enables you to... Look at that. That was weird, wasn't it? He's in the middle of a combo, in mid-air, being juggled, and then he auto-corrects down into the ground into this canned animation. What was that? What a strange monster. Like, I do the same thing with this guy pretty much every time, and I'm wondering if there's something more creative you can do to him. It might exist, and I might be ignorant of it, but what a cool dude. And then we have the Brutal to finish it up with a handful of soldiers. And now we get to bring in some stuns with Corsica, do some launches, see what we can do with these groups here. Got that 70 combo going. I need to experiment with the flexibility on the combo to keep it going longer. Because one of my criticisms of the wave-based fights is a lot of the times when you get your beats quite high and you get your hits up there, when it transitions to the next stage of the fight, there doesn't seem to be any way to keep your hits there. It seems like you're just doomed to drop your combo. And there might be some tech that I don't know about, but it might be about using that chip. And I feel like if it is using that chip, it's kind of sucky. And one of the things the game could have benefited from would have been a taunt. I spoke about this today on my stream. I feel like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta are a little bit ahead of this game, obviously because of experience and time, and some of the highest accolade of action game developers have worked on those games. But fundamentally, when it comes to style and keeping your style going, both of those games have a gun. And the gun enables you to constantly keep damage that you yourself are engaging in against an enemy at any distance. And when the gun doesn't work or when you want to do something else, they have a taunt. Taunting opponents in those games is a really good way of keeping your combo going when nothing is happening. And in this game, dodging on the beat seems to be the only real option a lot of players seem to want to go towards. And I just don't feel like it's enough personally. I would really like it so that it wasn't like that. But maybe there is a taunt and I didn't find it, guys. Maybe it's on a button. Maybe I've played the whole game wrong up to now and it's something for me to discover. But this is looking like the end of the fight right here. And what a fucking fight, dude. What a time. I love this level so much. It's got way more combat than some of the others and the environments are delightful. We're pretty much at the end of the game here. There's the last few levels and this game really starts to take off here for me. These last two levels are by far the best. They've got really, really good environments, they've got really, really good encounters, and then they build towards really, really fun boss encounters / final bosses. And that's how you do it. We've even been teased Roquefort earlier, which I think is a really nice touch. And if you're wondering, guys, the person who found out about the ability to restart checkpoint by changing it to streamer mode, or one of the first people that I was aware of, was a member of my community, a guy called Wraith. Apparently, he talked to the director on Twitter, and he told him that that was a thing, and it's an oversight, the developer said. He said it wasn't intended to work that way, but that's how it accidentally seems to work. And that to me is really fascinating. I'm definitely going to be trying to DM that guy to see if I can fire some questions his way or get him in like a Discord chat or something. Because I've got a lot of things to ask him. And I just want to, I'd love the answers, and I feel like he's the kind of dude that would take the time to answer them as well, which is really nice. So I'm totally going to do that, because his game is amazing, and I'm going to do my best to promote it as best as I can to people who are looking into it. I'm going to be playing it on stream a ton. I'm going to be doing a run where I do no reverb. I'm going to be doing a run where I pretty much have to parry everything before I can do anything to the enemies, and I'm going to be doing a run where I do a true no upgrade run where I don't buy any moves, I don't get any items, I have nothing but what you start with. And I think I'm going to stream that stuff, because as much as I'd like to do it on YouTube, I think we can all agree, guys, that this project's not doing very well, and YouTube is one of those places where if a project doesn't do too well, I should focus on something else. It's just the way of the world. As much as I love this game, my channel doesn't love me loving this game, as sad as that is to admit. But here's the new enemy, guys. I don't know this dude's name, and I don't really know anything about him. All I know is that he's really armoured, and I'm going to use Macaron to get him into a vulnerable situation. And you can parry some of this stuff, and right here I don't know the timing, so I'm just parrying on the beat. That's as close to spamming parry as you'll see me do. When I learn this monster, you will never see that again, because it goes against who I am. I don't like playing like that, and I don't like it when I see other people doing it. And I apologise if that seems presumptuous and forcing my playstyle on people, but if you spam parry in a game, dude, we're not friends. It's just that simple. Like, that's my big pet peeve, that. Blame Sekiro. It really did ruin me, that game. It ruined parrying in so many ways for me, and I really, really hold it personal. But here we go, we're launching him, we're getting a big combo going, 149 beats. We're really in a good pocket here. You can tell I'm warmed up and I'm playing well. And then I drop my combo, which is terrible, but what can you do? Here he comes again. Here's the telegraph. Boom. I'm going to jump it that time, interestingly enough. But I was talking about going back and rank running. I didn't finish that train of thought because I got distracted by this game being amazing. Corsica's really good against this monster because she stuns him really easily. So are the special moves that I'm using here. I've been experimenting a ton recently with the level 4 finishers, namely Hibiki and the 808 Gigawatt Cat. They are by far the most powerful moves in the game. And I've been coming up with some setups to make sure that the cat hits every time on enemies. Some enemies have got some interesting auto counters to it, but it seems like if you drop Macaron's gravity field on them and it stops them, you can get away with murder then. And I've been trying to come up with the best ways to milk points to then come in and cash it when it comes to using that cat. And I think what I'm going to end up doing with this game once I've got a little bit better at it is I'm going to try and go in and make sure that I can squeeze as many points out of the encounters as possible. And I think I'll end up doing something where I do a fight, I try and get my combo over 100, maybe as high as I possibly can, and then I try and bank it all with the cat. But I think I'm going to need the chips to do this, because one of the things I noticed, the time it takes the cat to activate, sometimes your combo will decay and it'll just go away. And I don't know if that's intentional, because I do think when you use your supers, the combo should freeze. I just think it's one of those things, it's out of your hands, it shouldn't work the way it works. And it's the same with the world as well. When you activate a super in this game, it doesn't freeze the world state. The world state remains the same. And I don't know if I mentioned this on a previous video, guys, because, you know, I've done a lot of talking about this game. I love this environment, by the way. One of my favourite environments in the game coming up here. But there's times when you go to use a super when you're facing a direction, and the aim assist on the soft lock will turn Chai towards someone else. I tried to do the 808 cat on an enemy that was laid down in front of me, and he pivoted on a right angle to my side, and it whiffed. And I would have got really mad if I wasn't kind of expecting it, because I do think one of the biggest weaknesses of this game is its lock-on. And I know people have asked for a lock-on themselves. I don't really believe you need a lock-on in an action game for it to function. I just think you need to give the player a little bit more agency at times. Like, it'd be nice if there was a setting where whichever direction you pointed the analog always dictated where an action happened. And sometimes it's just simply not the case. After time and engagement, you will learn to deal with it, and every so often you'll get messed up a little bit, but it won't be too bad. But it does happen, and it's unfortunate. But this right here is probably one of my favourite sequences in the game, cosmetically, because not only do we have these kind of hanging basket level design of these building blocks and this vertical space with this huge statue of Kale, but we have the engagement between platforming, poles and rails, and the combat. And I think it all comes together in this wonderful, just this floating kind of botanical city. And I love the glass, and I love the colours, and I love the combination of both the natural and the synthetic. And then you've got the robots in here, and you've got all the bulletin boards. This level, to me, it's just some of the best cosmetically. It makes me want to replay it. And I absolutely do not mind that it's one of the longer ones, because I just love being in it. I love the trees. I love the cityscapes. This is awesome too. This is a stunning super that I thought I'd show you that you might not be aware of. It costs 2 bars to do that. It's called something like Steal the Show, and it will completely make the enemy smitten. And it gives you an opportunity to beat them up. If you're ever in a problem, guys, with a fight, and there's something that just keeps messing you up and you just can't beat it up, use that super, break them, launch them, kill them. It is super effective. However, it does not work on bosses. But what it does do is some bosses have unique dialogue when you try to use it. So if you use it against Kale, he will say, "Sorry, I'm more of a dog person," which I think is really funny. And right now, I currently have this idea, which I've not yet tested, so if you test it, guys, you'll have to tell me. But there's an outfit you can buy for 808 in the game. It's a dog outfit. And I would love if you could put the dog outfit on 808, use that move, and it worked on Kale. It might be too strong if it does, but it would be absolutely hilarious if they'd gone in and done that. And that's the kind of thing that Tango did for this game. Because there's moments where you get exclusive cutscenes because you do different things. And you sequence break the game. This right here, if you're wondering, guys, I was doing this to try and get points, but it seems like it doesn't give you any kind of multiplier. So that was just a waste of reverb. But I got all my reverb back anyway, so it's not a big deal. Then we get the launch and we get more combos. Dude, when you get Peppermint shooting them, and then you get stuff like Corsica keeping them elevated, and you can keep mixing all your stuff up, you can do so many cool things. And the thing I love about this difficulty is enemies have got good HP, so you can hit them for a while. When you play this game on easy and normal, it's really hard because you kill things before you've even finished your combo. Like, you can't even do an aerial normal standard combo against the flyers because they die in 3 hits. And the normal aerial combo I think is 5 hits. So it's just madness. I feel like getting the big scores on the easier difficulties might be harder than the harder ones. And I'm still holding out hope right now that we get some kind of notification that they're going to be adding a difficulty to the game, because I would love to see remixed enemies, you know, really, really, really challenging difficulty, where they hit like a truck, we get that enemy remix, we get maybe some tweaks here or there, we get more engagements, we get more complicated engagements. I'm not looking for like 5-phase fights or anything, that would break my heart if they did that. But if they just did more fights, interesting combinations of enemies, I would love them forever. And if you want me to help you design that, dude, hit me up. I will work for free. But there's that fight. We didn't even get a chance to use Peppermint there. That would have been cool. Here we go, back on the sky rail. Look at the colours here, guys. Look at the purples. Look at the reds. Look at all the blues. It all pops. It all comes together. It's like at the end on the building site where there's those wonderful yellow like construction gates that move. It all just contrasts so beautifully. And even here, look at that teal green and then that lighter cyan. And then you've got the sky blue, and then you've got all these other organic colours coming in here and these earthy tones, bringing it all together with the hard wood, and then the pop of colour with the flowers. And then look at this room. Adding those yellows to this existing palette. All of it is just really cosmetically pleasing. And then there's a bunch of stuff in here to smash, even though it looks like the lobby and like the fucking IT crowd. And then we get another Kale statue to beat up, which is always fun. And I'm still not completely sold on which is the best combo to hit this with. But I'm going to keep experimenting and hopefully I'll figure it out. And on the previous video, guys, I mentioned that I was going to take some damage numbers down for the enemies and stuff, and the stun and whatnot. And I've done that research. I've recorded it all in a notepad. And it turned out it was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Firstly, because some of the enemies don't stand still in training mode and it's really fucking annoying to do the combos on them and they tend to miss. And secondly, it can be hard to get the same results twice because some moves have got very strange hit detection. And I wanted to do, here's how much damage it does when you don't get any just timing, and here's how much damage it does when you do the just timing, and I struggled to fuck up the just timing. Because even when I mashed, I still got it sometimes. So a lot of the information I found has a star on it because it can vary. But it's a good guide on kind of what's going on with the game. And I'm going to use it as a bit of a reference. The big ones I found were what combos do the most damage quickly. That's the type of stuff that's most interesting to me. If I can only do one thing, what's the most damage? What's the most stun? You know, stuff like that. And like knowing the HP values for the enemies, knowing how much damage the supers do is really important too. And there's still a couple of things I need to test, but I'm definitely going to be using that. And when I do another project with this game, guys, in a little while when people are hungry for it a bit more, I'm probably going to put some overlays on that give you some of this information. Of course, it will all be with a touch of salt. What I would love to see, this is another thing that, this is probably only me that wants this, but it would be so good if so. The training mode should show you the damage numbers that you do. It would be really nice if they could show you like the accumulation of all the hits, like it does in Street Fighter and Tekken and whatnot. When you do a combo, it should show you how much damage you accumulated. When you do a move, it should tell you on a number how much it did. You shouldn't have to count how much damage you took off the HP bar of an enemy. All of these details exist in the game. Share them with the player. And then lastly, with training mode in mind, it would be really nice if we could get the bosses in training mode, because some of the bosses are the more complicated fights because they're gimmicky as hell and kind of fucking weird. So it'd be nice if we could just bang on them and understand what's going on without having to play the entire level again. But here we go with a fight. We've got some flaming enemies and we have the Blaze character. Right now it's kind of dangerous because when you land in fire like that, unless you have Corsica to put it out, it can get really hairy. I think the thing that bugs me the most about the fire, guys, is when you try to use the magnet and you end up still getting hit by the fire. That's one of those things that I really can't abide by because it just feels a little bit unfair. But if you play the game casually, the fire enemies aren't a problem. They're a problem when you try to do no damage. Like, you try and do these fights no damage, that's when the fire is going to turn up and show you just how annoying it can be. If you're just trying to play for survival, you'll have no problem with these enemies. They're absolutely, completely designed in a way where you will trade a little damage, but you will see success if you play properly. This is 2 hits. And I fucked up the second hit, sadly. But that's good. You want to mess the timing up, guys, because timing is supposed to be tight. It's supposed to be difficult. I played a game today on stream called Ravenbound, and it had a decently tight parry mechanic in the game. And it feels good when you make the player earn it. If you just give the player the parry for free, it doesn't matter. That's why I'm so harsh on parry systems, you know. I don't think everything has to be Royal Guard, but if you're going to give me a 30-frame parry window, you better have some consequences when I don't do it right. But here's a bird anyhow. We got the S rank on him. I'm going to jump up and do a combo, and I'm going to try and hit him with Peppermint as much as I can. Peppermint breaks him, and then I magnet towards him. I go for the Helm Breaker. He falls. We drop Macaron on, and then we go with the big heavy hitting move into the ground there. We break him again into another combo, another heavy hitting. I'm probably going to bring out Corsica to hit with some wind. There it was. And now we have the drill phase, which parrying this is kind of a pain in the ass because it takes a lot of time to start. It's quite delayed. We don't need to now though, we've just got him on the final rhythm sequence here. And if you're new to this game, guys, and you've stumbled upon this video, you do not have to do these moments. Not only can you avoid those shockwaves, but you can parry them too. So if you want to flex, instead of doing those sequences, parry their shockwaves and kill them normally. This game gives you a lot of choices, guys, so when you see these reviewers saying that every fight is a mandatory parry fest at the end with really difficult timing, all that says is, I played the game once and I did so badly. You know, do not judge the game because you cannot engage with its systems at a level above, like, the fucking detritus beneath your fingernails. Like, there's nothing wrong with not being good at a game. There's everything wrong with shitting on the game and saying it's bad because you're too ignorant to realise you never uncovered how to play it correctly. And I don't think you need to be a Michelin star chef to critique food, but you can't start talking about how it's fucking cooked when you can't cook it. And there we go, we got the electric reverb core. But like, look at this area here coming up. There's the broken arm of the statue, and it pulls out into a lovely God of War 1 moment to show you some scale, and you get all the roses growing up there on like the lattice, and you get the bamboo shoots that you cannot cut, which is a disgrace. A disgrace, Tango! Shinji Mikami, you can't cut bamboo? Come on, dog. Seppuku immediately. But it's all good, you can't break half the shit in the environment, but I have a thing about cutting bamboo. If you know the channel, you know the shtick. But now all we need to do is move forward into this area and we can take on the boss. And the boss is easily one of the best bosses in the game, but he has issue hurting you. And you're not going to see him have issues hurting me, because when he hits me on this difficulty, he does a lot of damage. But this boss, when he swings, he doesn't swing for you. He swings on a preset path, and if you're near it, you might get hit. And what it leads to is the boss misses you more than he hits you. And it's kinda odd, because I think this boss is really cool and he could be really hard, but he spends most of the fight like a drunk trying to find his keys, and it just kinda comes across as really strange. Because if you jump in front of him like I did to the robot earlier on in the walkthrough and you do air combos, he can't hit you. It's like a complete safe spot. So you'll notice I'm not doing it, because I just don't want to completely turn him off. I want to fight him, you know? And I don't know this boss very well, I'm not good at it at all. But I don't get why he doesn't work very well. But to kind of make up for his weird hitboxes, he has 3 phases, and each of the phases has an interim where he gets knocked out of the robot. When he gets knocked out of the robot, you have to engage in the strangest part of the fight thus far, where you chase him down, beating him up, and he's kind of going to pull out a bunch of shady tricks to try and stop you from doing it. But I'm also experimenting with Rip and Tear here, and as you can see, if you stick it right on them, it does insane damage. A very powerful super, that one, but it is quite skillful to use if you don't put it in the right place. And then when he gets out of robot form, I don't really have any strategies for you here, guys, because I don't know the best thing to do to him to lock him down. And every time I get to this fight, I always think, oh, I'll try something to try and shut him down, and he just kind of runs around a lot. And you use your assists, you use your combos, he rolls a bunch, he gets a bubble, he gets a shield. And it just kind of feels like Elden Ring PvP with somebody with Bloodhound Step running away from you. It's that classic Dark Souls 3, isn't it, when they put the fucking quick roll on the dagger and you just couldn't catch them. But you can save your reverb for this moment to kind of skip these phases if you hit him with the right things. That can be pretty useful. The only difficult part when he's in human form is later on with the lasers, but I've got a pretty decent understanding of that phase, so I can hopefully get you through it. But you need to be aware that the gun turrets will shoot you and they're very accurate. But here is verse 2. He opens with a single slash. We're just going to focus on hitting him a bunch, and he's going to take us into some scripted rhythm sequences. He also has a multi-parry move, this one here, which is really cool. But because his hitboxes and his body's so big, if you're attacking his feet, he almost can't hit you with it. And then now we have the scripted Big Bad Wolf moment, so calling Corsica, and then it's time to play some Guitar Room Man, or some Parappa the Rapper. Insert your favourite rhythm game, we're playing it now. And as long as you hit the bar to where the white line is, you will win those engagements. Depending on your difficulty, depends on how much you need to do. And even if you don't win them, he will still be stunned afterwards, and then you can go and attack him. Because I saw DSP fuck that up earlier today, and he was still stunned afterwards, and it barely punished him. But when he does this, he's going to dash towards you multiple times. And I didn't do a good job of stopping that. And all you need to do there, guys, don't look for him. Don't try and turn the incredibly slow camera. Just do the parry on the beat. It comes out on a delayed beat, and as long as you press that button, you'll be absolutely safe. And then on this phase, get to him immediately. So dash towards the port on the ground, and make sure you're on the opposite side of him, because if you're not, you can get stuck behind those lasers, and this is where the fight gets really weird. But beat him up. If he goes back into the ground, you want to run to the other side of the room right here. See this? He's going in there. We need to go to the other side. If you do this quick enough, you'll never get stuck with the lasers, and you don't have to do the whole laser phase. And all you do, beat him up. As soon as he goes back in the ground, go to the other side of the room immediately. And then hopefully you'll kill him a bit quicker than I'm doing, because he is trolling me right now. And if you do get stuck, like I almost did just then, all you have to do is wait for the gap and then go through the gap. It'll either be in the middle, the left, or the right. And now we move on to the best phase of the fight, which is in the Scrooge McDuck vault. And this has got one of the funnier sequences in the game, because he has a move where he dives into the gold, classic Scrooge McDuck, and then he comes and dives out at you, and if you stand near this fist in the money, he hits it with his head and he gets stunned. And I never saw this move until this difficulty, because I killed this boss too quickly. And he never did it. So when he did it in this video, guys, it was the first time I'd seen it. So I was just kind of like, what am I doing here? And then I saw the fist immediately, and I was like, okay, I get it. And hopefully you'll see it. I hope you get to see it. I did restart this fight a few times, because it's just such a cool fight. Here's these little dashes, but they miss you. Look at that. That should have hit me, that. I can't stand a boss that's this cool that can't kill a player. And he's doing it here. This is it, guys. So he's going to do one. There, dodge. Oh, wow. See, look, I don't know what's happening. I'm parrying it, actually. And then I stood near the fist, and then it hit him, and there you go, he gets stunned. I think that's fucking amazing. It's so cool. And then we do the assist. We come in there, we do some smacks. He's still got some HP, though. And then we do the parry, and this is going to lead into the final rhythm sequence. And then it's going to be the end of the boss, guys. And indeed, the end of the level. But we're moving swiftly on towards the needle drop, and then towards Curate the Future, and that will be the end of my walkthrough. So 2 more videos, a fantastic ensemble level, and then a really challenging final boss. If you're enjoying these videos, guys, I'm happy, because I'm glad I can share this game with you, and I hope you continue to engage with them, because they deserve attention, you know? This is a great game, this is a cool difficulty, and I've had a lot of fun making these videos, so thank you for watching, and you take care now.